to the movie. So thank you for coming to the virtual drive-in, and stay right there. We'll be right back.
Up next, a special screening of The Hill and the Hole with Bill Darmon, Chris Ernst, and special guest Adam Gorightly.
Okay, folks, I am. This is a dough moment for me. Our guests are here. I sent them the wrong link, so everything's everything's hunky dory. Bringing my guests on here momentarily. Let me get my head screwed back on. Sorry, I'm so sorry. All right, so let's see. Oh, we got Bill, we got Chris, and hoping we can get Adam there in just a second. Adam, hopefully you can hear us. Not sure. How y'all doing, guys?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing better now that I realized what I'd done wrong.
You've got a lot going on.
Yeah. Let's see. There we go. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm so sorry for I did this earlier. I sent the wrong links to a couple of different hosts, and this is the first time we've broken it up into two streams, and it was like my nightmare scenario where I sent the wrong link to the wrong people.
Oh, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
We cannot see you, but we hear you, Adam.
Okay. Not sure why.
Yeah. Well, today's been the day for technical difficulties. There should be a little kind of gear symbol that says cam/mic. And if you click on that, it'll give a pop-up window where you should be able to select the camera. I hope we can get that to work because I haven't seen you in forever, my friend.
I see the little link and I see the webcam and not sure.
Let's see. And it's funny. It's not. It's just showing black, which is weird because normally if it's not showing the camera, it'll show a different icon. I wonder. Let's see. And I'm looking to see if I can control anything from my end, but nothing that seems to control camera.
It's got to be all the surveillance equipment that's focused in on your place there.
That's
probably, yeah.
Microwave tech. Yeah.
Well, Adam, if you want to keep looking around on that, I apologize. I'm sorry. I wish I had a quick answer for what might be the issue. But let's go ahead and I guess just proceed. I'm really curious, guys, how you, Bill and Chris, first of all, I guess just briefly how you got into film, but ultimately I'm really curious, like what led you to this particular short story, The Hill and the Hole, and then what led you to Mr. Gorightly?
Yeah. I mean, we both probably came to it. Probably, I don't know, Chris, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, 1991 or two. I think that's probably the common ground that, and the composer as well, Drew. I think he probably, it all goes back to Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, having our 14-year-old, 13-year-old minds blown. I mean, I don't know. I've been into film forever. I'm sure it's the same for Chris. I couldn't even begin to figure out where it began. So I don't know, Chris, you could probably do better than I could.
Oh yeah. I mean, no, Bill's right. We, both of us were, the composer, Drew O'Doherty, we all kind of came from, we all went to a high school in the same area. We're all from Massachusetts, but we also kind of came about in an era, and I think we're very heavily influenced by Twin Peaks, but also like video store cult movies and things like that. And so we had all played music together. It had been in the same circles, like kind of in high school, and we ended up reconnecting to make films later. And Bill had known Adam through his work doing the Mandate 33 series and some of his other video productions and stuff like that. So they Adam was crazy enough to say yes, and when we had this project coming up and the rest is history.
Yeah. In terms of the story, the whole. I mean, you had Greg Little on before. I'm sorry if I'm coming in a little hot. Funny enough, Rebirth of Pan and Jim Brandon's works. I mean, I remember checking that out in like grade school. So I've been kind of familiar. Well, Weird America specifically, and then later on, Rebirth of Pan. And there was lots of crossover. Fritz Leiber, the author of The Hole in the Hole, he was obviously interested in Fortean subjects, and I think in the Venn diagram of like his extremely prolific career as a science fiction and fantasy writer, and our Fortean interests, The Hole in the Hole, which is a pretty obscure short story that he wrote early on. It was 1942, I think. I think that just hit the spot. I mean, that was exactly the subject material that Chris and I were both interested in, specifically. And it's Mounds. I actually didn't visit my first mound until maybe 10 years ago, knowingly. But for a very long time, I mean, it's been on my mind. Like, and again, that Greg Little lecture earlier was phenomenal. I mean, he was just taking us through, all of the locations. I think he numbered them in the hundreds of thousands. And so some of that lore, it just always sort of been background in terms of various interests I think we've had.
So Adam, what were your thoughts when these guys approached you?
Well, Bill emailed me at some point and says, "Hey, do you want to be in a movie?" I said, well, yeah, I suppose so. Sounds like fun. I really had no clue what he was proposing. And then he sent me the script, and it became evident this was a pretty big role. I said, "You do realize I've never acted before, right?"
Neither here nor there.
Yeah. And so that was basically it. Just jumped in and went for it. And I like that hat you got there, Chris. When do I get mine?
Absolutely, right? We got to have some more of those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd worked, like Bill said, we'd filmed the Mandate 33 episode. So there was, a little trust and, getting to know him. So thought, what the hell? It sounded like an intriguing project. And what I'd seen of these guys' work, was pretty impressive. So why the hell not?
Indeed. So this film has a number of elements. I guess I having played the preview. I don't think it's a spoiler, but yes, there's a hill that's very mound-like that's at the center of the story, and it's quite anomalous. And there's ball of light phenomena and possible spirits doing all kinds of things, and then this weird cast of characters that are some are the locals, and then there's the outsider with the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, which that acronym and that organization is no stranger to conspiracy theory these days. That's for sure, in a weird, strange way. But hey, it's just an acronym. So I guess each of you, Bill and Chris, I know Adam's background in this strange material, but that seems really weird to come across Rebirth of Pan. Perhaps if it actually in grade school.
No, Weird America. Was weird. And that was specifically the book which preceded Rebirth of Pan. I only became aware of Rebirth of Pan probably a few years before we started these road trips that we were doing. So we were, Adam and Chris had mentioned Mandate 33. So we we were sort of taking it upon ourselves to visit the various locations in Weird America, and it was sort of this Fortean travel log video experience. So, and that those journeys sort of informed a lot of the wild decision making that went into the making of this film. So, yeah.
Well, again, without giving too much away, it also, we touch on the issue of secret societies. I don't know if, in talking to you, I get the impression that you've mentioned Mandate 33 a number of times, and this Rebirth of Pan and its author, a pseudonym, is not without its own level of controversy. And without going into that, I kind of imagine that in and of itself might, I guess, I don't know if that's really a factor in what the weirdness surrounding Mandate 33, but I guess it attracts, it's like a strange attractor for strange people. Is that, am I?
Yeah. Without getting into too much background, and Adam, you have way more background on much of this subject than we do. But yeah, there's controversy. I would just say that probably the work of Lauren Coleman, in addition to folks like Jerome Clark, Jim Brandon, that sort of like initial group of Fortean investigators, I would say that was sort of like that entire group. It was very inspirational in making this. Yeah. And I would also say Lauren has a cameo in this, and Lauren informed some of the decisions we made with the central character, to the degree that you could look at him as sort of like a younger version of what we might think of Lauren having been, and doing conducting these crazy Fortean investigations or road trip videos. We met Lauren, and we got to know Lauren really well. So I don't know. To a degree, it was sort of like it's a mad world. Initially, the objective was to create it's a mad world with like early Fortean investigators. It didn't pan out like that, but it still has sort of this Cannonball Run meets, I don't know, Altered States feel. Help me out. But
that works.
So yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life meets the Dunwich story.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's next.
I don't know.
So yeah.
I'm having too many overlays. Sorry. Well, Adam, I feel like you really got the opportunity to blank screen to really explore that wonderful aspect of being an actor is you get to play, you get to just really have fun, and I think this role must have really appealed to you in that regard.
The guys gave me a lot of freedom to play around with a lot of the dialogue for the film, and it was just kind of filling out the character as I went. I think probably Bill and Chris kind of felt the same. I don't know if they totally visualized what my character was going to be when we started messing around with all of this, but
I forget the specific. I think we did a table read with Adam, and Adam, you were nervous initially. Yeah. I think you were just nervous that we were undertaking this monumental project, and you didn't have acting experience. But we sort of knew you were perfect for the role. Like you would bring something to it that nobody else could, and you did. And it was our gamble totally. But then in addition to that, I think we may have told you, all we really need you to do is sell all the insanity that we're trying to pack into the film. So just make sure, just keep that top of mind. So,
Yeah, we were definitely like, I think it was, you were writing it for, Adam was in mind when you were writing it. So there was, also this, we were understanding the sort of the idea that if you're doing like neorealism or if you're using non-actors, you play to their strengths. So and I think we tried to do that. Adam,
that's quite a risk throwing
non-actors. It
film.
worked out awesome. I mean, it really did.
It did work out, but yeah, it's a hell of a risk.
Yeah,
that is true. There's
an alchemy to it. Yeah. There's obviously another side of the production story, Smiles, that would take probably a podcast series to get into some of the risks and gambles. But I mean, I think it paid off at the end of the day. I mean,
well, it was pretty crazed. I've never been in, never did this before, but it was like the principal shooting, I guess you call it, was a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in like filming in 3 different states, and we'd finish filming one place, and it's like a rock and roll band going to the next show. Drive 250 miles through a storm, and
monsoon season.
Punk rock tour van filmmaking.
Yeah. Well, I know y'all are about to release this fine film on DVD, I believe, and all those great stories. That'll make a great commentary track for the special edition, right?
That's a good idea.
Right?
Yeah. Let's record that now.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate y'all coming on and letting us show this film. It's right before your rollout with the DVDs, and I do hope folks will buy it. I've watched it myself and really think it's a fun film. This is a great opportunity for us, and we're so thankful to all of y'all and for everybody who's donated so far, and for everybody who's tuned in, but especially all the presenters, all the folks who've donated their time and their creative work in the service of our nonprofit effort to raise funds. I don't know if you heard some of the news, but we found out this week that we're not going to be able to renew our lease at the current location. That was, of course, the big goal, is to raise these funds, because 3/4 of the goal is our rent, and we had really hoped that we'd be able to renew the lease for at least another year, if not longer. But the nonprofit that is our landlord, they're having to make their own tough decisions, and I certainly don't fault them for this one, even though I wish we didn't have to suddenly add looking for a new location to our list of things to do. But keeping positive about it all, it's we'll probably find an even better location. We've just been getting better and better and better. Adam, of course, was our very first lecturer for the Anomaly Archives back, and I believe it was about 2004, and that was, of course, him presenting on The Prankster and the Conspiracy about Carrie Thornley. And I wish I had a video recording of that presentation, because it would have been quite historic for at least the Anomaly Archives and our preservation efforts. But I can't wait to hear more stories from y'all in the future about the making of this and where you're going to go from here. Which actually, so you've also sent along some great stuff for us to play before the movie. You want to say anything about that? Or is it going to be a total surprise?
We added, it's a drive-in theater experience. So we added some trailers to the beginning. One of them is, totally new. It's just a short project we shot, during quarantine. I guess you could call it a quarantine film. We're working on shaping up some new stuff. So as soon as things open back up again, maybe we can get something rolling. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching all of this and knowing. I'll just say, as I said to you previously, Bill, I'm a big fan of RPG role-playing games, and so this seemed perfect. Any final words before we get started on the film?
Enjoy.
Enjoy. It's it should be weird and laughable, and hopefully something you can eat popcorn and smile most of the time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. And, you're welcome to hang out. I don't know if we're going to we might have some questions at the end. If you're still
Sure.
around, we can
Yeah.
see if people are like, "What the hell was on your
No
mind?"
problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
the?
Or if we've
hell
cleared the
was
room.
that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and get us ready here. So, let's see here. Let me do. Bear with me.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
So, what is it now? Living? Dead? Living dead? Unliving?
Yes?
Undead?
No.
Something less or something more? Something else? Something other than else?
Could be all those things at once.
Beneath the accessed rim of reality, a world both forsaken and adored by its own dark gods. This is Ad Neglium, and these are two of its most storied adventurers on what must be their final quest.
My yard's a abyssal dunghouse. What fresh hell is this?
Enjoy a drink with your friends in our Hollywood bar.
I can get up tomorrow morning and walk to my friendly neighborhood suicide clinic and check myself in. And off myself. Because I can. And that makes me free. But that would be deeply stupid, wouldn't it?
I've been having that dream. That character from that New Age cult book. The yellow cover and the symbol.
They say you read it, makes you crazy. Lets you see things, sends you places. You might as well have just stuck a gun to his head and pulled the trigger.
We're creating unregulated experimental biotech. You're worried about what it might do to people.
He's freezing and soft. I think he's dead.
Something bad is happening. You can't help it, can you?
You're not from here, are you?
No! No! Stop! You have ruined everything. Hillary!
One face comes up, leans over, and looks at me. No mask? No mask? No. What does it mean?
I've never seen anything like it before.
It would have been brutal.
What are you talking about?
You are going to make me what I want you to make me.
Oh, God, what are you doing?
Don't you know? You gotta stop this.
Oh, there's nothing
Stop it!
inside we can see that.
Stop! Stop it! Stop it!
going to go ahead and let the credits roll here and stick where you are. We'll be right back.
Hey, Tom, could you wait a minute? I see you packed up your desk.
Yeah, I'd like to put 2 or 3 states between me and those pinheads before sundown, you know?
Is there any way at all that I could talk you into staying?
Just, don't let those guys turn this into some crusty peep show, huh?
Tom, you belong in a museum.
I really don't know what to make of that.
Okay, alrighty, let's... Hey, oh, there we go. What's going on? There we go. All right. Check, mic check.
Howdy.
Hey, guys. Oh, thank you so much for that. I really... But what year did you first, like, get the seed to, like, hey, let's do this Fritz Lieber short story? I've never read it. I don't really... I'm really curious, like, how different the story is. I mean, a short story you can really expound upon, obviously. So.
You should read it. It's a great story.
Yeah.
I mean, the feature itself came down fast. Originally, we were thinking of doing it. It's a really short story. It's maybe I couldn't even. I mean, you could
like
read
3
it
or 4 pages.
Yeah, half a sitting. So it's so we expanded quite a bit on it. But we started pre-production on it the spring before we started shooting. Chris and I have pretty demanding day jobs, and so we found that we had this window, which happened to coincide, the dog days of summer, as Adam's noted quite a few times, and we did our best to hit that date. So I mean, I think I wrote the script maybe in a few weeks that spring, but it was always sort of germinating. I mean, for a long time. So yeah. So,
I mean, you've been probably longer than I too, like a fan of Fritz Leiber, and has been a big influence. And I think you've been wanting to do something with Fritz Leiber material for a really long time too. So that definitely is like, that was a long-standing thing. It just happened to sort of the stars aligned really quickly in terms of actually pulling the trigger on it.
Chris had previously done the trailer prior to the film, Corpse. Chris had sort of been doing these projects where he was adapting weird fiction writers, Robert Chambers, etc. So I was like, that's a great idea. I love Fritz Leiber. I'll attempt it. So I had worked with Chris on Corpse. He has me down as screenwriter. That's not true. That's way too generous. And it was Chris's project, like 1,000%. But I was like, I got to do that for this. So that's where it came from. So, I mean, and it's funny because I mean, there should be more Leiber projects out there. We were when we did the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. Brian Callahan, who runs that, was also in agreement that there's just so much great Leiber material. He's been adapted. Conjure Wife has been adapted. Bunch of his novels, but his very best stuff is still out there. I've got a theory that Philip Kaufman, the guy who wrote, responsible for Indiana Jones, Body Snatchers, Right Stuff. I have a feeling he had the option to Leiber's best novel, which is Our Lady of Darkness. And I suspect that Body Snatchers was tonally his way of making it's a great novel about San Francisco. So So I don't know. This is getting in the weeds a bit with this stuff, but I mean that's lots of Leiber love. And I mean, Chris, you've been reading Leiber for a while though, because you've read.
Oh yeah, no, I've been reading it. No, totally. I've been reading it. Probably. I mean, I don't know. I remember reading it when I was reading fantasy, like as a kid, and doing Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I think that's when I think I had only read Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. Like that was the one that I read, and I don't think it was till I was older that I read like Our Lady of Darkness and some of the other stuff. And then I didn't really even think of it until I think you had mentioned it again, and then I like went back and revisited it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome, because it was. I think I read it like. I might have read it before I started reading sort of more contemporary weird fiction like China Miéville and stuff like that. And then you would recommend it to like go back and look at it. I think after that, that sort of came into the, those authors came into being. And it was really like, it's some pretty awesome stuff. And I do hope there is more like Leiber, influenced work that goes on out there.
So both of y'all are really full on interested in the paranormal and these various aspects as expressed in the film. I mean, you mentioned earlier Fire Walk with Me, and that's what's always astounded me about the Twin Peaks universe, that there's this real appreciation of just so many like bullet points of the paranormal in a way that I really find creative and engaging. A Bardo-like other world where characters are interacting with their spirit representations, or do both of y'all really? I mean, Chris, I know you were involved with Adam's Strange Reality, so I mean, I'm pretty much pegged you as like, oh yeah, you're reading this stuff as much as But Bill, I just haven't had the chance to get to know you and see if do y'all both like really voraciously. I mean, you obviously earlier you mentioned
Yeah. I mean, I think Chris and I overlap quite a bit with a lot of our interests.
Absolutely.
So I mean, no, I mean, it's funny. I was trying to move away from some of that because I think some of our other projects were even heavier on a lot of that stuff. And so this was The Hill on the Hole was supposed to be like our mainstream project. Like this was supposed to appeal to like normies, like our parents or something like that. We thought that's what this was. And it wasn't until we put it on Amazon last spring that we were like, no, we did not quite accomplish that aim. But this is as A to B as I think we could possibly get. We might be able to push it, with something else. No idea, but yeah, Chris and I have long debated the merits of Michael Mann's Miami Vice.
I think I've come around to that I like that. No, it's funny that the Twin Peaks stuff, I mean, I think you're totally right about that, Smiles. Like Bill and I have talked about this too, and I think I've talked about this before, with some people that especially if you read Twin Secret History written by Mark Frost, and I think it was really Mark Frost who brought a lot of this into it. David Lynch definitely has the sort of the influence that I think comes from more Vedic, cosmology, and certainly his interest in like transcendental meditation. But yeah, Mark Frost is writing stuff that in many ways is like Kenneth Grant fan fiction. And if anybody doesn't know Kenneth Grant, he was essentially like an acolyte of Aleister Crowley, and he was writing these books that were essentially linking H.P. Lovecraft mythos in a real like magic with a K way to sort of Crowleyan, these Typhonian current of like real ceremonial magic that was tying in with, everything from UFOs to like New Age stuff. I mean, Kenneth Grant throws the kitchen sink in there, and the Secret History of Twin Peaks is kind of awesome because they do the same thing too. I mean, it's like everything from Lewis and Clark and mound builders to Nixon and Jackie Gleason and stuff like that. It's really cool, and I think both Bill and I, we just like stuff that's steeped in Forteana. So in making this, it was sort of for whatever our intentions, like it kind of comes through. Yeah, we just wanted this to have, not with any specific, agenda, but just the, I guess, like the mouthfeel of Forteana. So very much like The Hill and the Hole, in the same way that I guess Lynch does it, but, very different style. Yeah, we're interested in doing that.
Well, I really did. I love the cinematography, the sound design. I just, there's so much about it that I really appreciate as, I'd like to think of myself as a connoisseur of film. I guess everybody does, but I'm not. I'm just another guy who has barely enough time to do everything else I want to do. But I of course am attracted to this kind of film, and I just, there's a crispness in the landscape shots, and there's just a sweeping appeal in the cinematography that incorporates the landscape. And as has been mentioned multiple times, the landscape aspect of this and the earth, and I don't know that I put all the lectures together today with this in mind, but it's certainly in my face today.
I was thinking you had. Actually.
I must have unconsciously. I really. I mean, I don't know. My mind and my memory are so jacked since this year, but more than normal. And I really just the mood of the film. One of our other people had commented such incredible locations. Where was it filmed? That's what I was going to ask, but also the sense of humor that's in it as well. So landscape-wise, where was it filmed?
We shot all over. It was everywhere. Much of it was shot in New Mexico. So it was northwest. Well, like an hour north of Santa Fe, like due west of Taos. In this place, this very small town. I don't even know if it qualifies. Called Vallecitos. Which is our production designer, Caitlin. Her father had a ranch there, and we just, I don't know. It was highly remote. It was a bad location for us to be shooting, and I had scouted with Caitlin and my brother Ryan, who produced with us as well, and I was sort of piping Chris in on the phone, taking pictures and saying, "What do you think of this?" And Chris is giving me thumbs up, but Chris has no idea where we are. Like I'm describing locations. He's like, "That looks great," and we go for it. And we hadn't really plotted things out, so we were all over New Mexico. So we went from that side of the state to the northeast to this town called Raton, New Mexico, which is just along the Colorado border, and also an unbelievable location, but totally different. Like, I mean, the landscapes out there are incredible. Just highly. I don't know how to put it, but these buttes that rise like starkly from this otherwise like flat plain that just spreads out to infinity. And that's also where we found the mound, which was actually in Colorado, and that's in Walsenburg. And we had an exchange with David Perkins. Is David Perkins doing a...
he and I are going to do a co-presentation. We're going to pre-record a co-presentation.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. All his idea, and he's been recently working on a new book with, or I think writing the foreword to a new Adam Gorightly book, I believe.
Oh, that's right. I think,
anyway, whoop, did I?
yeah. The cat is out of the bag, but he got in touch, and he was telling us that the spot that we had chosen for the mound is actually highly anomalous. We weren't aware of this at the time, but this the mound, so lots of mystery lights, etc. So it's but the mound itself, Huerfano Butte, is you can see it right off of I-25 driving down into New Mexico. So yeah.
And the humor was definitely too, like, I think when Bill was writing it, he and I are both huge fans of cult cinema films like Buckaroo Banzai, and I don't know, even I feel like if you look at old classics like Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's this certain sense of like playful humor to it, and I beyond the sort of wanting to have there be this like video store top shelf type feel to it. I think that we really did want to have the humor in there, and at least knowing Bill as a screenwriter, that's always something that I think he tries to put in there. So I'm glad that it came through for Victor, because I think that's like, if he got the humor, then I think he totally got the piece. It's sometimes the humor is the hardest thing, I think, for people to like get this sort of wry, dry humor, and a little bit of it's still campy too, but I love that. I mean, that's, I think, for me at least personally, and I think Bill feels the same way too, that having that little, I don't know, it's not that you're not taking yourself so seriously. I think it's more you're having fun with the medium, and it's like there's a certain nature of absurdity to it that I think adds to it. So yeah, I'm glad that came through. That's great.
Yeah. So, and I think the other half of that question may have been if there's any kind of humor at all in the short story, which you were saying was really short, but
not really.
Not really.
Well, Libraries are really there's always a subtext in Library. He's deeply funny. I mean, especially his sword and sorcery stuff. I mean, he's true. He's really funny, and there is always a subtext. I thought the name Tom Digby was hilarious, and that also drew me to the story personally. So I don't know, but I just think it's the greatest name for a land surveyor dude who might work for the BLM contract. So
and then we have this comment, you nailed the alienation feeling of being a stranger in a small town. And, that's, there's obviously some heavy topics and ideas here that obviously have resonance with widespread conspiracy belief right now of this idea of the power elite Masons in a small town, sacrificing people for some greater thing that nobody's sure what it is. But it's an interesting combination there of like the sense of an earth spirit, and yet they appear as like kind of like sky gods. And there's, locals who are in the lodge, and those that aren't, at least as far as we know, all like succumbing to this. We've got to sacrifice. We've got to willing or unwilling, give something to this spirit. And
yeah.
And then there's the other elements too. Just there's so many odd little things that I love about this, and I won't keep you too much longer because like the girl, the little girl, and like who's a spirit and who's not. Like are any of these people spirit? Like I mean, it's there's just a lot of real good play with ambiguity and uncertainty. And gosh darn it, isn't that what all of this phenomena has in common? This a high level of like. I don't know. Yes, no, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, are we supposed to answer that? Is there a question there?
No,
we're not going.
I just.
No, that's great. I'm so glad that you had. I mean, you're our audience. I mean, it's awesome that because there are a lot of people that we've shown this in quite a few different like venues and things like that, venues that we totally expected like that audience to get it, and they just totally did not get it. And then other audiences which are like they get it, and it and it always throws us, and it's never it doesn't run along. I don't know. It doesn't run along like lines of like where folks' interests lie. It's hitting them somewhere else, and it's difficult because we'd like to be able to pitch another project and raise some money for it, and we have a very difficult time describing the audience that we're trying to make this for. But I mean, if it's having this effect on you and the folks watching, that's all we needed. I mean, that's great. So
yeah, absolutely.
So.
Well, we all know that there is a market for various elements. I mean, there's so many popular things that within your work and these types of works dealing with the paranormal and the mystical and whatnot. But trying to catch that wave at the right time, and I know y'all have had your share of. Difficulties just because the distribution models and everything's just so in total upheaval. So how can folks get copies, and what's next?
So thehillandthehole.com will be providing we should have a store open on there hopefully this week. We were trying to get the DVDs and the Blu-rays out on Amazon prior to this screening. Didn't work out, but I think it'll be this week. Our projects, Chris, our joint projects are on brightrectangle.com.
And that'll drive back over to the once the Blu-rays and DVDs are available, it'll drive back there. Like everything will drive back to the site so you can purchase.
Yeah,
if you need to.
And we're constantly discussing. We have various documentary projects that we're working on. There's something Chris and I shot a few years back, actually with Adam and Jerome Clark and a few others.
What?
Yeah. It's in the can, and it's about it. So Jerome Clark's, his article in The Unidentified. I know.
His and Lauren's.
His book. Yeah. So he had an article about the Sonora Aero Club. We were sort of following up on that, and when we conducted the interview, he had a dream about Calaveras County, the leaping frog of Calaveras County, and we found ourselves in a situation. I don't know if it was like the following few weeks at the time, but we found ourselves in Calaveras County, following up the Mark Twain Clampers thing, and we kind of turned over some stuff about the Sonora Aero Club. So we talked to Olaf Phillips. Actually, we interviewed Stephanie, who I think is watching right now and who's talking tomorrow.
Hi, Stephanie.
I don't know. She had sent us a note, but we, so we have various projects like that.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
also teach. Like I'm a film professor. That's sort of what my day job is. And Bill does his, has a very busy production studio based in Boston. So we're on top of the COVID weirdness.
Yes.
Lots of stuff.
Oh, well, like I said, there's so much more I'd like to ask you about, little details, but so done me such a favor. You've done the community such a favor with creating this film. I really just want to thank you guys for having the desire and gumption to make this film, and of course thank you for letting us screen it here at the virtual drive-in, and really just looking forward to getting to know you both better, and creating more bridges amongst this community. And it's just so great to find weird soul brothers, you know. So,
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
No, thank you. This is a wonderful thing to be a part of, and really glad to be involved in it, and really glad that you like the film too. So thanks, Miles.
You're very welcome. Thank y'all, and y'all have a great night. And I'll do some little wrap up, and we'll be in touch. So take care.
All right, take care.
All right. What? There we go. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Bill and Chris and Adam, and everybody who presented today. Really am tired and flabbergasted, and I think we are still like really close to getting our. Let me just do the wrap up here. I think we are just barely shy of 5,000, and that's fine. We have had a great time, and we're trying to get our words together before we go sleepy. I'm such a old guy now. So yes, the Anomaly Archives has raised almost $5,000, and we've still got that thankful $5,000 challenge matching grant in play, and it'll be we'll be over that any day now. So thank you all. Clicky. Thank you. All right. Good night.